Hello guys and welcome back to another episode of our EAFC career mode here with Sheffield United, where we return off the back of our first victory in 11 games as we defeated West Bromwich Albion by 3-0 in the FA Cup replay. We did it the hard way, but we did make it into the hat for the fourth round, where as you can see on the right hand side we'll be taking on League 2 Notts County. So lots to crack on with today, including that cup tie against Notts County. Returning to the Premier League action as well, where we need to start picking up some wins. We've dropped into the bottom three now, so we really need to pick up our form after an abysmal run where, as I say, we picked up our first win since the beginning of November here against Wolves. So lots to crack on with today. Let's jump straight into it, where I think we have a bit of transfer news. So I've just had loads of scout reports back on some of the players that we've been looking at. Still waiting for one or two more, so we're not going to make any major moves just yet. But some other big news as Vinny Souza returning to first team training. Now this is a massive boost for us, because I think not having him in that DLP position just in front of our back four, I think we've really missed him. So I'm hoping that getting Vinny Souza back in is really going to shore up our defence. So we've had a loan offer here for Benny Traore from Granada, which I'm actually not against accepting. So I'll delegate that and see if the assistant manager can strike up a deal with Granada. I'd be happy to get him out and get him some first team football. So no transfer movement just yet, but getting some scout reports back is massive. I'm hoping that we can bring in either a centre-back or a striker on transfer deadline day. Before we get there though, it's the early kickoff in the fourth round of the FA Cup as we host Notts County. Great opportunity to make it into the fifth round here. Let's get out there, get back-to-back victories and take a bit of form going back into our Premier League games. Come on, you Blades. Going to try and play a little bit slower today. Just keep hold of that ball and wait for our opportunities. Hackney drills it out to Osborne. And I see Harmer at the back stick, nods it back and... oh, it's found its way in. Hayden Hackney with the goal. Not sure how he managed to poke it in. His first touch was heavy, but gives the Blades the lead. And that is a big goal for our youngster in midfield. Good header down by Harmer, and his touch is heavy, and I think it might actually be an own goal off the number 4 in there. Let's see it again. The keeper's kind of in the way, but yeah, I think the number 4 diverts it into his goal. It has been given to Hayden, so I'm sure he will take that. First goal in the FA Cup this season, and Sheffield United take an early lead. Still Brewster, back to Hayden Hackney. And again, we're just slowing things down, keeping that ball moving. Now we've fired it into Ollie McBurney, and Bogle's in support and pegged back to McBurney. It's a great save. Kept alive by Harmer. Into the middle, and it is 2. Kept alive by Gus Harmer. Crossed into the middle, and it's Anis Slimani getting the start today, who just heads it down into the ground past Stone in the Notts County net. And Sheffield United with a 2-goal lead, now in the driving seat. Now we can look to come on the break. Oh, and I think that's Hackney who stayed down. That is gutting for our young midfielder. Had loads of minutes this season after coming in from the Borough. And just as Vinny Souza's coming back from injury, we may be losing a midfielder for a long time here. Corner from the other side. Into McBurney again, and this time it's 3. Get us in that draw for the 5th round. McBurney at it again in the FA Cup, and good to see him on the score sheet once more. Well, with the scoreline seemingly pretty nailed on now, I'm going to take off our starters in Jaden Bogle and also Gustavo Harmer, just to reduce the risk of injury. So Koulibaly and Baldock come on to replace them, and here goes Koulibaly. What a start this would be. Koulibaly makes it 4. What an entrance. Norwood with the corner into Fleck at the near, and it's 5. This is exactly what the Blades needed to boost their confidence. Koulibaly's done really well in midfield there. And picks it up again now. Rolled through to Brewster. Lovely build up. Has he got the finish? And 5 becomes 6. This is turning into a brilliant afternoon for the Blades. Jebison wins it back. Notts County shooting themselves in the foot here. Just keep giving the ball away. Jebison has Baldock out wide. And George Baldock makes it 7. Where has this performance come from? I don't care if it's against League 2 opposition. Here's Osborne. I see the run of Fleck down the left. John Fleck hits it first time. And maybe we shouldn't have let him walk on a free come the end of the year. 2 goals for John Fleck and 8 for the Blades. What a needed result that is for the Blades. 8-0 victors and a massive confidence boost for our boys. The only sour taste left after that brilliant victory is that Hayden Hackney will miss 2 months of action, out with a broken metatarsal, which is a pretty nasty injury. So he will be back around the beginning of April time, well, probably towards the end of March. He's going to be a big miss in our midfield as he has been absolutely superb this season. Transfer offer for Jack Robinson here. Royal Antwerp coming in for the 30-year-old. And if I can strike up a reasonable deal with them, he is transfer listed at the moment as I'm trying to raise some extra funds. That will help us in our search for our new defender or striker on transfer deadline day. So £1.75 million deal struck up with Royal Antwerp. Hopefully that goes through, as those extra funds could be enough to bring in a real difference maker that could see us survive in the Premier League this year. Confirmation here of Benny Traore's loan deal to Granada. Happy to let him apply his trade in Spain for a couple of years and gets his wages off the books. So game time now. Crystal Palace away at Selhurst Park. Tough game, and then we will be looking to make a signing. Of course, they sit just above us in the league, so this is a real must-win victory off the back of that massive 8-0 scoreline in the Cup. Oh, given away by Trusty. Of course, a brilliant victory in the last game, but we do have to remember that it was only against League 2 Notts County. So a brilliant victory in that last game, but we do have to remember, as that's a dangerous ball that we've not dealt with. And a Bere Eze heads home for the Eagles. And I was just going to say, we have to remember that this is the Premier League. Brilliant victory in the Cup in the last game, but different opposition today. And we've been absolutely undone by a long ball into the middle. McBurney switches off and Eze heads home at the back stick. 12th goal of the season for him, having a brilliant year. And in this huge clash at the bottom of the table, Palace take the early lead. Norwood into Davis. Bogle's in a lot of space out wide and we found him. Bogle, brilliant move. Harmer can't get there. Archer, somehow, and it's squeezed in. And Cameron Archer back on the score sheet in the Premier League. Bit of a scramble, but we managed to turn it over the goal line. Instant response from the Blades, and this is looking like it could be a classic here. And now we look to come on the break low into Fleck and up to Archer. Fleck's gone again here. John Fleck not the quickest, but he is getting away from his man here. And Fleck with the little reverse into Harmer. It's a brilliant finish. Gustavo Harmer, similarly to Eze, scoring goals from midfield and looking to keep his team in the Premier League. Lovely counter-attack, and John Fleck again with some brilliant work. The veteran Scot, who we've allowed to walk on a free come next summer, putting in some brilliant performances when it matters here. Great strike by Harmer, and Sheffield United have turned it around. Eze loses out to Norwood though. Back to Ollie Norwood. Might fancy a crack, and it's well blocked. Again, we're finding a lot of space out wide with our fullbacks here. And Lowe can drive into the penalty area. Looks for the man at the back stick, and it's Harmer just before the break, who stretches out that right peg and puts it into the back of the Palace net to give us a 2-goal lead in this huge game at Selhurst Park. Late corner here for the Blades, and I think that will be enough to see us over the finish line. Henderson, who's looked shaky at times today, doesn't hold. Shot comes in, and that should just about do it. Massive 3 points for the Blades. Puts us within touching distance of Crystal Palace, and that could be the result that kick-starts the second half of our season. and sees us staying up in the Premier League this year. Huge victory. So into transfer deadline day, but just before we get there, quick note on Gustavo Harmer. Grown by 2 ratings this season and 7 goals in 22 appearances, most of that coming from left centre mid. He has in recent times been playing slightly further forward as a number 10, but he has been absolutely superb. Another 2 goals in the last game. What a season the Dutchman is having. So we are into transfer deadline day, and Leeds have matched the bid from Antwerp for Jack Robinson. I'd actually rather he stayed in England for realism, so I'm going to accept that offer. And there it is, Jack Robinson departing the club. He has decided to stay in England and go to Leeds. Happy with that one. Much more realistic transfer staying in England. We get $1.75 million for him. Obviously, Greaves came in. We've got Trusty as well, who was signed in real life in the summer. So he was 3rd choice centre-back on that left-hand side. So with us having the, second worst defence in the league behind Luton Town, I was tempted to spend that money on another centre-back, but we've got Anel, who I'm a big fan of, and Trusty next to him. They're starting to build up a bit of a partnership. We signed Greaves in the summer, who I've actually been impressed with in limited minutes. So I was going to go after an experienced centre-back, but I think what I'm actually going to do with just the 26 goals scored, there's not many who have scored fewer than us. I think we're going to go after a new experienced Premier League striker who can score some goals in the second half of this season to keep us in at the top division. So as I say, we have got some defensive options that we can maybe revisit next summer. I was looking at the likes of Jamal Lascelles, maybe Willy Bolly, Kouyaté, who can play in midfield and at centre-back. But as I say, I think at the moment I'm relatively happy with what we've got there. So I'm gonna leave the defensive third for now, but looking at some attacking players, obviously Guirassy was our main one in the summer, and we may revisit him next transfer window. Calvert-Lewin's just moved, but the likes of Raul Jimenez, we've got Kelechi Iheanacho, who's obviously playing down with Leicester in the Championship, lots of experience in the Premier League. Same with Che Adams, another player in the Championship. Chris Wood, similarly to how Newcastle signed him the year that they were down at the bottom of the league from Burnley. We could potentially look at him, but I think the one I'm most interested in is actually Danny Ings. He's not necessarily slow, he's got a little bit of pace about him, decent in the air, 31 years of age, so he's not exactly a spring chicken, but he's been around the Premier League for a long time, knows where the back of the net is. I'm going to see if I can potentially tempt West Ham on a cut price deal to see if we can bring the Englishman in. So we are slowly starting to bring Moisey down. Still think I can get him for around 6.25 million. Yeah, 6.25 million. So under the market valuation. I'm going to go in with 45 grand a week and see if he's happy with that. And he said yes. So it is a bit of a pay cut from what he was on at West Ham. But Danny Ings joining the Blades to add a bit more experience, a little bit more firepower up top. I'm really happy with that signing. It's one that I could potentially see happening. Ings not getting a lot of football under David Moyes at the Hammers, so coming to join us here in January, and hopefully that will boost our survival bid. So transfer deadline day is done and dusted, and we are into February, and Danny Ings could well feature making his debut against one of his former clubs, Aston Villa here. Having a very good season, Aston Villa, like they are in real life, sat in 5th place in the Premier League. We, however, have our eyes set on catching up with the teams above. As you can see, it's very, very tight. That win against Palace has put us just 2 points behind Burnley, 3 behind Palace, and 4 behind Forest, Wolves and Brighton, all on 24 points. So still very, very tight. Lots of games to be played and lots of work to be done. It is, however, time for our scouting update here before we get to that game against Aston Villa. Still nothing really from England. Neil Conlon could potentially be okay. Looks like a decent starting overall. Only 5'5", the short king Neil Conlon. And as for Theo Vaughan, Connor Bradley here, Reece Matthews. Didn't we have a Matthews come through the academy? And obviously at the moment we've not got the greatest of youth scouts, but I am hoping that potentially next summer, if we are able to stay up in the Premier League, we'll be able to upgrade our scouts and hopefully find some better players. Obviously obviously you don't generally see the real gems coming through the sort of lower Premier League team. You know, you look at the likes of Cobham, where you've had lots and lots of players come through. There's not really that many names that have come through the ranks of Sheffield United. Obviously, you know, they had the likes of Harry Maguire and Carl Walker, so there are players that come through, but you know, at this stage that we're at, we're not going to be having absolute world beaters in the academy. We have obviously got another Matthews here, so Harry and Reece Matthews, the Welsh brothers, both look like they could have some decent potential. Reece has got a bit of a long way to go, but he has got those 5-star skill moves, 4-star weak foot. And just looking at his stats, I think he could potentially be a decent winger, but I like the high agility, and the dribbling's pretty decent. Very, very quick at the moment as well. So I'm actually going to convert him to an attacking midfielder. Will only take 2 weeks, and he has got that 5-star, 4-star, which I quite like. So potentially one day we could see Reece and Harry Matthews both performing in the Premier League for Sheffield United. You know what? Speaking of Carl Walker, I really like the look of Patrick Nicholson, who we've got in the academy. Only the 56 overall, but physically looks pretty good already, and technically he's not awful either. Can play right back and left back. Already grown a couple of ratings this year. Could be one that we potentially see given a pro deal come the end of the season. But quite a lot to digest there with deadline day and the scouting and youth academy updates. Time to jump back into the action. Aston Villa at home at Bramall Lane. You can see the lineup there. There are a couple of tired legs out there. Lots of fixtures coming in a short period of time. Slimani and Koulibaly come into our midfield with a couple of changes in defence as well. If we can pick up another 3 points here, that would be absolutely massive. Good foot in there. And again, we've won the ball high up the pitch. Koulibaly, now Harmer into Slimani. Has Bogle out wide right. Still Bogle. Lovely build up, and Archer slams home. And that just shows you what a bit of confidence can do. Wasn't credited with the goal at Selhurst Park. Went down as an own goal off Rob Holding. But the team morale just feels on a whole new level. You can see limbs in the home end. And on the counter, winning the ball high up the pitch and springing forward. Bogle into Archer. Slammed home at the near post. 5th goal of the season for the Englishman. And a vital, vital goal as we look to break out of this bottom 3. That's a brilliant ball into Iglesias. And now Tammy Abraham on the turn. And Iglesias again. Ball through. Cash into Tammy Abraham, who can't miss. And they're back on level terms. It's their former loanee, Tammy Abraham, back on a permanent now, who gets the goal. They worked it really well. McGinn back into Tammy, and he was never going to miss from there. Now what are we made of? Do we have enough to hold out for the point? Oh, Trusty dispossessed. That's an awful giveaway. And Tammy's in, and surely Villa are going to make us pay. Still Tammy Abraham. Oh, and it's gone through Wes. And it's such a bad giveaway. Trusty, not very trustworthy on the ball. Gives it away, and Tammy races away. They've got a 3v1 against Anel. Tried to block the pass, and Tammy took it on himself. And just to add insult to injury, Aston Trusty injured in the build-up to that second Villa goal in giving the ball away. It could be another long-term injury for us, but that will do it. 3 points for Aston Villa and a disappointing throwaway. The performance was all right, just disappointed to throw it away in the last 15 minutes of the game. Tough fixture for us, but as I say, disappointed in the manner that we lost. Well, some good news and some bad news here. Vinny Souza, despite the glitch saying he's been out for 0 weeks, back available for selection again. Of course, we're going to have to work him back into things, but great to have him back available. But on the flip side, Aston Trusty, ACL, going to be out for 7 months. So obviously I wasn't very happy with him for giving the ball away for that second Villa goal, but he'd obviously done himself a bit of damage. As I say, we have got players who can step into that position, but yeah, disappointing to lose our first team centre-back for such a long period of time. So, huge game here against Luton Town. It is 19th v 20th. They beat us on our turf at Bramall Lane, and we are out for revenge today. This is a must-win game as we saw at Selhurst Park. Another huge away day for the Blades. Danny Ings is getting the start today, his full debut for the club, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he's going to get on. And again, we look to come on the counter quickly here. Davis. Danny Ings on the run. It's a brilliant ball through by Davis. Danny Ings, that's exactly what we signed him for. First goal for his new club, Sheffield United. Bang. Drilled low and hard past Tim Krul. First blood drawn. And it's Sheffield United who strike. And now we look to come away on the break again. Fleck into Archer. And into Danny Ings, the two former Villa men linking up, and Ings is away. Danny Ings, it's 2. What a dream debut. On his first full start, 2 goals in 2 minutes for Danny Ings. Luton looking to find a goal just before the break. Kabore down the right. Couple of big lads to hit in the middle, one of them being Carlton Morris. And a huge block by Fotheringham to keep the score at 2-0. Coming forward here with Fleck. And Archer on the run. This could seal it. Cameron Archer bends it home for 3. 3 goals and 3 points for Sheffield United. Massive victory this. Well, there is the whistle. Nothing to report on. That Archer goal sealed the deal for Sheffield United. And that is a huge 3 points, which could potentially see us rise out of the bottom 3. So in the sun in Sheffield to take on Brighton and Hove Albion. As I say, not having a very good season. So definitely an opportunity for us to pick up another 3 points here. And we have been a lot better at home this year than we have been away. So that win and clean sheet against Luton in the last one was massive for us. But back on home soil here, I'm really hoping that we can pick up another 3 points. If we do, I can see us really kicking on and starting to move away from that bottom 3. So fingers crossed for a big victory here. And there could be a chance as... Steele palms that away for a Sheffield United corner, which will be swung in by the captain Norwood into the near post. Ings going for it, and again it's not particularly convincing. Another corner for us here. Norwood a little bit deeper this time, looking for Greaves in the middle, and that's a superb save. Corner from the other side. Norwood into the near post and flicked away. Brilliant start this from the Blades. Greaves to beat, and he's done well, and it's played inside, and Fotheringham clears it away from on the floor. A little bit last ditch. Put behind for a corner. Norwood to swing it in. A bit more power. Greaves attacks it. And Jacob Greaves deserves that. Brilliant in the last game against Luton. Nearly scored from the previous corner. And heads us in front here. Really taking his chance with Trusty's injury. Here's Sofiane Boufal, this former Southampton man. Lots of space for him to come inside. João Pedro now finds Boufal, and there's a man on the edge. Boufal, good build-up, and Greaves is there again and again. Jacob Greaves has been superb, but we can't stop that one from Jakub Murder, levelling things up for the Seagulls. Now, as we enter stoppage time in this first half, João Pedro's done well. And he's running at pace here. And he's found Boufal. And Fotheringham just about parries the shot. And collects at the second attempt. Brighton growing in confidence. Good football this by the Blades. March does well. But runs into Jamal Lowe. And Lowe plays the 1-2. And Lamptey's on a booking here. And Lowe realises that. Still Jamal Lowe. And he's won a free kick on the edge of the box there. Brilliant from Jamal Lowe. It's very, very close. Ollie Norwood, tough to get it up and over. But fancies a crack. Norwood. Oh, it's superb. And not for the first time this year. Ollie Norwood direct from the free kick. Just as he did on the opening day. Scores for Sheffield United and restores our lead. Jamal Lowe, what a run. And I think that will do it. A huge victory again for the Blades. back-to-back victories in the Premier League, and our bid for survival takes a massive, massive boost today. So guys, just before we end today's episode, we will take a look at the FA Cup quarter-final draw. After our 8-0 victory against Notts County, Sheffield United will be taking on Manchester City away at the Etihad. Well, of course it is, in what is realistically quite a weak quarter-final. Look at that. Everton and Wolves, all the rest of those teams are EFL clubs. Manchester City, Newcastle, Spurs. I mean, if we'd drawn anyone but City there, we'd be fancying our chances of making it to Wembley. But of course, it would be City away at the Etihad. We did get a very credible point there in the league, but that's going to be a very, very tough one. As for the league, to round out the episode, as you can see, we're now 4 points clear of Burnley in 18th place. Couple of big victories in our last 2 games. We've got Wolves next as well, so another chance at 3 points in that game as we look to move up the table and get away from that bottom 3. Much better signs today, guys, and I'm hoping that now, as I say, we'll be able to look above us rather than below us. It's been quite a long one today. Lots and lots of content in today's episode, so I hope you guys have enjoyed. We will be back very soon for the next episode. I hope to catch you for it very soon, and peace.